I'm live here at Pratt & Whitney Stadium at Rentschler Field, previewing the 2017 UConn football season opener against Holy Cross. And over the next 60 minutes, I'm going to be joined by Mke Anthony of the Hartford Courant, UConn Athletic Director David Benedict, and earlier this week I sat down with head coach Randy Edsall for an extended interview, which you'll hear in its entirety, coming up on the UConn Sports Nation UConn Football Pregame Show.
About them. It's not about me. I have emotions just like everybody, and there's certain things that you become more emotional about than maybe others. But to me, I had a tremendous experience here the first time. You want to be able to come back and get it to where it was before, because you know that it has the ability to do that. The wins and losses will take care of themselves. But, you know, what we got to do is we got to go out and play hard each and every play. Time to go play, because it's been a long time, but we're ready to play.
Back here live, Matt Sharvisky, your host here on the UConn Sports Nation UConn Football Pregame Show, and I want to welcome in Mke Anthony of the Hartford Courant. Definitely appreciate you taking the time.
Glad to be here. Thanks, buddy.
So football season is here. You've been around through all the spring ball, through training camp, new coach. What's the feel around the team?
I think kind of one of newfound optimism, you know. And, you know, you mentioned how long I've been on board. It's been an amazing journey just for about a calendar year now, picking up this beat late in the off-season last year and just, you know, documenting and seeing everything the program went through last year. And I mean, it's been a wild ride, hasn't it? You know, so for the players, for us to watch it from afar is one thing. For the players to live it is another thing. And I think the kids who have been part of this program and continue to be part of it have shown a lot of character, and I think are starting to show some real signs of belief in the present and the future. Just in that, like, look, they feel good about kind of the product they're putting together for this season.
And new quarterback, David Pindell, comes in, junior college transfer from Lackawanna College. What are you going to be looking for from him, his first FBS college football game? But he has experience playing at another level since high school, so might be a smoother transition than a regular freshman.
Yeah, he's got some experience and some good experience, but there's no experience that can simulate this. I mean, he'll be a totally different guy and a totally different player having gone through this game. Whether he plays poorly or whether he plays well, this would be a valuable experience for him. But, you know, what I would look for is for him to just be on point more often than not and be kind of mistake-free. I mean, you're not going to go the entire game without a couple of mistakes here and there, but you want him to be confident. You want him to take charge. You want him to have the look of owning the offense and being able to kind of freely show the tools that won him the job, because the kid can throw the ball, he can move, and he can throw on the run. And, you know, I'd be curious to see how deep they dig into the playbook and how much they push what he'll be capable of, not from a physical standpoint, but just from a standpoint of kind of getting acclimated to a whole new level, obviously.
Another position on offense, running back Arkell Newsome, one of the senior leaders of the offense, struggled to kickstart his seasons the last 2 years, looking for a quicker start this season. Head coach Randy Edsall said he's seen a different level from Arkell since the spring. Are you seeing the same thing in practice?
Like that. Well, you know, in our limited view, I've seen Arkell doing his thing, and he's a heck of a player, and he seems to be in a good frame of mind. And you know, you mentioned Edsall saying he's seen something different in him in recent months, and you know, I think when Randy came back and got to know Arkell, I don't know this, but just from observation over the offseason, I don't think he was totally sold on Arkell's approach, and maybe it's because Arkell's a little withdrawn at times, or who knows what went on with stuff we don't see. Maybe he wasn't putting forth. Maybe he was only giving him 99% and Randy wanted 100, you know, that type of thing. But Randy has come out and praised Arkell without even really being asked about him, you know, too much. So I think that speaks volumes to me, that Randy now has kind of done 180 and has gone out of his way to praise the kid, and it's a kid who they really need to perform well.
And probably the deepest position offensively, wide receiver, returning a lot of guys. Some have experience, some don't. Two redshirt freshmen, in particular Keon Dix, Clavon Skanes, likely to see a lot of time tonight.
Sure, you're right. It's deep, and it's going to be a fascinating project, that position, especially considering what we saw last year, which was throw it to one guy 100 times and no one else. And Noel Thomas was amazing and a great representative of the program and a highly productive player. And so I don't think you necessarily view this year's passing game as how are we going to replace Noel? How are we going to make up for the 75 more catches he had than anyone else on the roster? You just view it as scrap everything. It's a new project. It's new pieces, and let's do it by committee. And I mean, Herji Mayala is a guy who brings some experience and some catches back, and he could be a leader. And a guy like I'm really intrigued by Skanes and the ability and the pure speed he brings. I'm also just curious in general about him and Dixon and just what kind of freshmanitis we'll see at times. Because surely they'll have to gain some important experience on the move here, and these games count.
Another position they're going to be young along the offensive line, losing two key starters from a year ago, Richard Levy and Andreas Knappe. Cam DeGeorge, a redshirt freshman, coming in. Healthy for the first time in a couple of years. Are you looking to see improvement on the O-line as well?
Yeah, and it's just hard for me to gauge that, because again, I always think back to what can you simulate in practice, and I don't know that anything we've seen in practice is really telling. I mean, you see guys who are mobile, you see guys who are big, strong, fast. You like one guy over another at different parts of practice, but I don't know what will become of that unit. I don't know that they're overly confident in that unit, and particularly in its depth, but it sure as heck is important, and it sure as heck is important for it to remain healthy. And I think they at least feel good enough where if they're healthy, they'll be in a better place than they were last year. And obviously it needs to be somewhat functional for anything else we're talking about offensively to be remotely functional as well.
Now, new offensive system, you speak to, we really haven't seen this thing full throttle in a game yet.
Right.
What are you going to be looking for offensively tonight?
Well, I'm just, first of all, it's going to be fun to watch, I think. I mean, that goes for people working the game like us, and that goes for fans who are going to be sitting out here or watching on SNY. I mean, it's going to be fun to watch, and it's been a while, I think, since football was fun to watch. Now, how refined it'll be, I don't know. I mean, just fast doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to go fast up and down the field. If you're moving fast and you're going 3 and out, you're moving fast off the field, and your defense is huffing and puffing back on the field. So that's potentially problematic. That's the flip side to all this. So, I'm intrigued by the speed of it, but even more so intrigued by the efficiency they'll need to run it and what they could show in the opener.
Now, offense isn't the only thing new. 3-3-5 system defensively with new defensive coordinator Billy Crocker. A lot of pressure is going to be on the safeties. They're young, inexperienced. Do you see the same thing?
Yeah, no question. And I think, the approach puts pressure on those guys, like you just mentioned. And it's kind of a high risk reward situation where they hope to create a lot of negative plays, but they also expect to give up a lot of long plays. So where's the balance in that? And, and again, a work in progress. You might not know exactly how they feel about this system or how the pieces fit into it for a few weeks now, but it's kind of fun to just let it all roll out now, you know what I mean, and something that counts. It's been 8 months of talking about this change and that change and this person out, this person in, this system out, this system in. Now, hey, just roll it all out there, play some football, and see what happens.
And the Huskies are thin at linebacker on defense. E.J. Levenberry went down with an ACL in the spring. Vontae Diggs also out for tonight, potentially back next week. Definitely senior leaders that are not playing tonight, but will be very vocal on the sidelines.
Yeah, I would think so. I mean, Vontae Diggs is really just a key member of this football program, and he's a heck of a football player, and they need him back ASAP. Junior Joseph, to me, there's a lot on his shoulders, but to me, like he might be the team's MVP. He's able to handle, I think, what is going to be in front of him for at least this week, and maybe South Florida if Vontae can't make it back. But Junior Joseph is a heck of a player who I think can compensate for some of the inexperience around him, and can help some of the game inexperience, can help some of those guys along, and can kind of be a fixer on defense, you would hope.
Well, Mike, definitely appreciate the time. Enjoy the night.
You too, buddy.
It's going to be a new feel around here at UConn football, and thank you again.
The only bummer is it just feels like summer's over, but what the heck, football season, so let's go, baby.
All right, that was Mke Anthony of the Hartford Courant. After this break, I'm going to be joined by UConn Athletic Director David Benedict.